university is working on a lot of things, but one of the things that Steve Wratten's working on is a new grass which comes with a pretty big reputation.
We think it's magic. I mean, it's magic in many ways. One is it's virtually the first use of it in this country. Secondly, it's sterile, meaning no weeds. Thirdly, it grows much taller than me. It grows to 4 metres in 2.5 years. Doesn't need many fertiliser inputs, doesn't need much water, and so far we haven't found a single pest on it, which makes a change.
So if it doesn't come into seed, how do you propagate it?
It has big rhizomes, sometimes as big as a rugby ball, and they can be chopped up into little pieces where each piece has one bud on it, and they can be just scratched into the soil. The other method is we buy plantlets, baby plants, from a company in the North Island, and they can go into a vegetable planter as if you're planting broccoli or something. The latter is slightly more expensive than the former, so we like the chopped up rhizomes.
So tell me about its attributes. It's tall, and is it edible?
It's tall, it's 4 metres tall in 2.5 years. The dry matter yield, which is largely cellulose, is about 40 tonnes per hectare per year, which is amazing. I mean, wheat plus the straw, I imagine, would be less than that, but anyway, 40 tonnes per hectare per year. And it can be used as bedding for animals in houses, and certainly in Britain, it's the commonest bedding material used for cattle in sheds, actually. And cattle can eat it. It's not as good as a really good roll of silage, but it is a supplementary food. And actually we have some analyses going on now in this building, looking at dietary fibre and nutrients of it, just to see where it is positioned with other common foods for animals. But as a supplementary food, we think it's got high value.
Obviously it can be used as a shelter under irrigation, such as centre pivots.
Well, people moan about dairying, don't they? Because when they set up a dairy farm, they often take out all the woody vegetation first, because the central pivot can't go through. All those macrocarpa hedges and pine hedges, well, they're non-native, but they had a value. This is non-native and has a value too. And one value is the wheels of the central pivot irrigator go straight through it, and unlike bamboo, which is too woody and would not come back, this comes back to a vertical position. So it's perfect for a busy dairy farm.
Attributes as far as heating is concerned?
The main interest worldwide in this is that using a rather clever machine that's been developed in the USA, you can make what's called renewable diesel from it. Now we don't mean mineral diesel, which you buy from the gas stations, which comes from is a fossil fuel. We don't mean biodiesel, which is usually based on a plant oil like canola, oilseed rape. We mean renewable diesel. And unlike biodiesel, this stuff doesn't need any chemical treatment and can go straight into the gas tank of a tractor if the tractor is parked next to the machine that makes the oil, if you see what I mean. So it's called drop-in diesel. And that's very attractive, meaning a dairy farmer or a group of farmers could get together, have one of these machines near them, transport the bales of miscanthus to the machine, and literally take a truck or a fuel tanker and take their share of the diesel away with them when they leave the site. And I think that's rather exciting.
So it basically is crushed, is it?
First of all, we chop it up. Then we have next to the machine, we have a little a diesel generator that provides the heat. And the diesel that goes into the generator to make it work is the diesel we made yesterday, if you see what I mean. And then we add the chopped up material into the diesel, and it's pushed using a pump through pipes, and the heat is generated by the generator, and a system called pyrolysis occurs, and the diesel comes out the pipe. And that's my intellectual level in terms of describing engineering, but that's more or less what it does. And the waste products, in quotes, are not really waste, are water, carbon dioxide, and ash. And unlike the carbon dioxide that comes from burning fossil fuels, this carbon dioxide was made by the sun 3 years before. So it's sustainable in that word. And the ash contains little bits of carbon, charcoal in it, which is basically what we call biochar. And we know very well that since over 2,000 years in South America, biochar has used to improve the quality of soil. So as well as all the shelter and all those things it provides, it actually has added value fuel. The fuel is added value because it's not biodiesel and can be used straight away. And the waste, includes charcoal, carbon, if we want to add that to the soil to improve it. And we're looking at a price per litre, initial thinking of not more than $1.10. So although we've got oil shales being mined all around the world with great environmental damage, diesel won't stay this low, mineral diesel won't stay this low. So we think $1.10 or less is going to be a bit of a market winner.
As a heating product?
Well, you can use it in diesel generators and in diesel burners using the liquid fuel, or you can put it on the conveyor belt with coal in a system that's heating a boiler. And we actually know that some tractors, you can put an attachment on the back to turn it into little cubes. It's really compressed very tightly, and these cubes are about the size of pieces of coal that go on a conveyor belt, so it can be used as a feed for boilers as well. So the list of values is very high. On the pasture itself, going back to that, a key merit is that because it cuts down the wind, which in Canterbury would be a cold southerly or northwesterly or something, the pastures, grasses, continue to grow because of the shelter. You know, all plants have stomata, little holes through which they breathe. Those plants close their stomata if it's windy because they lose water that way. Because of the lack of wind, downwind from this plant, the stomata stay open in windy conditions. That means we're getting 14% increase in pasture yield up to 100 metres downwind from the grass. Well, that's measurable economically and physically, 14% increase in grass yield. So it's about 16 benefits last time we counted.